A quiet neighborhood at night, the silence is broken by a scream. Imagine, if you will, a scene of tranquility, an ordinary neighborhood where the streets are hushed under the blanket of nighttime. Suddenly, the eeriness is ripped apart by a chilling scream. The serenity shattered, revealing a sinister secret. In the midst of the cacophony, a house stands out. It's a humble abode, the home of a local police officer. But tonight, the house is a crime scene. The officer, a protector of peace, has been found dead. A life abruptly ended in the very place he should have been safest. This is no ordinary crime. The officer has fallen not in the line of duty, but amidst a riot that has torn through the heart of this quiet neighborhood. The irony is as bitter as the loss is tragic. As we delve deeper into the mystery, things get even stranger. The front door of the house is undamaged, the windows intact. There are no signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle. It's as though the perpetrator was invited in, or perhaps already knew the way. The motive, too, is elusive. The officer was well respected, a pillar of the community. Who would bear such a grudge against him? And why strike in the middle of a riot? But it's the peculiar clue left at the scene that really piques our curiosity. A single chess piece, a rook, placed carefully on the officer's dining table. A message from the killer, a calling card, or just a random piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit. This is no ordinary crime scene. It's a riddle wrapped in a mystery, surrounded by an enigma, a puzzle that demands to be solved, a story itching to be told. In the heart of chaos, an enigma unfolds. Who would kill a cop in the middle of a riot? As dawn breaks, the investigation commences. The scent of intrigue fills the air as the morning sun pierces through the veil of secrecy that's draped over the crime scene. Enter the lead detective on the case, a seasoned veteran with a reputation for cracking even the most complex of mysteries. His eyes are sharp, his intuition sharper. He's seen it all, or so he believes. A deep dive into the victim's life is where the detective begins. A seemingly ordinary man, the victim led an intriguing double life. By day, a diligent police officer dedicated to maintaining law and order. But as night fell, he donned a different cloak. One of a passionate musician, playing the violin at a local jazz club, his notes floating through the air, captivating the hearts of many. A stark contrast indeed, but could it be the key to cracking this case? As the detective delves deeper, he uncovers the first set of suspects. A disgruntled neighbor, harboring resentment over a long-standing property dispute. A mysterious woman whose enchanting beauty is matched only by her enigmatic past. And a fellow officer, a partner, whose relationship with the victim was strained to say the least. Each suspect is a piece of the puzzle, a thread in the intricate tapestry of this crime. The disgruntled neighbor, with his fiery temper and a motive, could he be capable of such a heinous act? The mysterious woman, her allure veiling her true intentions, could her involvement be more than just casual? The fellow officer, a comrade turned adversary, was there a professional rivalry that took a deadly turn? As the detective sifts through the evidence, interviews the suspects, and pieces together the victim's life, the plot thickens. Each suspect carries a piece of the truth, a clue that could lead to the killer. But the detective knows better than to jump to conclusions. For in this game of cat and mouse, nothing is as it seems. As the trail of suspects widens, so does the mystery. In the world of crime, nothing is as it seems. As we delve deeper into this intricate web of deceit, the lives of our suspects begin to unravel, revealing a hidden landscape of relationships, motives, and alliances. Let's start with our first suspect, the victim's supposed best friend. A friendship that, on the surface, appears as strong as steel, but beneath the facade hides a secret grudge. The motive? A bitter betrayal from the past that turned this robust friendship into a simmering cauldron of resentment and revenge. Then we have the victim's business partner, a well-respected figure in the community. Yet, behind the polished exterior lies a man burdened by financial woes. His business, once thriving, is on the brink of ruin. Could desperation have driven him to this heinous act? Lastly, we turn to the most unsuspecting of them all, the victim's neighbor. A quiet, unassuming individual who, it turns out, shares a strange alliance with our victim's biggest rival. An alliance that could have deadly implications. But the plot thickens. Each piece of evidence we uncover complicates the case further. A secret letter, a mysterious phone call, a clandestine meeting, all weaving an intricate tapestry of deception and intrigue. Every revelation uncovers layers of duplicity. Every lead takes us down a rabbit hole of secrets and lies. Each suspect, with their ties to the victim and their possible motives, becomes a piece of a complex puzzle. And just like a spider's web, one wrong move could cause it all to unravel, taking us further from the truth. As the investigation progresses, we find that the line between friend and foe is blurred. Trust is a luxury that no one can afford. In this world of crime, everyone is a suspect until proven innocent. Every revelation brings a twist, every suspect a new puzzle. As we continue to navigate through this web of deceit, we must remember, not everything is as it appears, and sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. The truth often is stranger than fiction. As we delve deeper into this perplexing case, we encounter a revelation that none of us saw coming. The murderer we find is not some faceless monster lurking in the shadows, but a familiar figure, someone we entrusted with the responsibility of upholding law and order. Yes, the crime was an inside job, executed with chilling precision by one of the victim's fellow officers. This officer, let's call him Officer X, did not kill out of personal vendetta or for monetary gain. His motive was far more complex and disturbing. Officer X was driven by a twisted sense of justice, a skewed moral compass that led him to believe that he was doing the right thing. He saw his fellow officer, the victim, as a cog in a corrupt system that needed to be eradicated. He saw himself as a vigilante, a purveyor of a warped form of justice, and he took the law into his own hands. Now, what about his method? How did he manage to commit a murder under the watchful eyes of his colleagues and the public? The answer lies in the chaos of the riot. Officer X used the riot as a perfect cover-up, a smokescreen to camouflage his heinous act. As the city was embroiled in turmoil, he seized the opportunity to strike, confident that the riot would divert attention from his crime. The murder was meticulously planned, the execution flawless. Officer X had managed to commit the perfect crime, or so he thought. But as we all know, there's no such thing as a perfect crime. Tiny slip-ups, minute details overlooked, they all add up, eventually leading to the unraveling of the criminal's carefully constructed facade. In this case, the truth was revealed, and a shocking one at that. The murderer was not an outsider, but one of our own, hiding in plain sight. In a world where justice and crime often blur, the real enemy was hiding in plain sight. In the end, the scales of justice must balance. And balance they did, when the rogue officer was finally apprehended. The arrest was a spectacle in itself, the once proud protector of peace now a captured criminal. As the handcuffs clicked around his wrists, the irony of the situation was not lost on anyone. The trial that followed was no less than a riveting drama. Every day brought with it a new revelation, a new piece of evidence that further cemented the officer's guilt. The prosecution left no stone unturned, meticulously building the case against him. As the evidence piled up, so did the public's outrage and disbelief. The community, once trusting and supportive of their local law enforcement, now found themselves questioning their faith. The crime had left a deep, indelible impact. Parents held their children a bit closer, neighbors looked at each other with suspicion, and the once bustling local markets had a lingering silence. The officer's actions had not just claimed a life, they had robbed an entire community of its sense of safety. The consequences faced by the guilty officer were severe and swift. The court showed no leniency, handing down a sentence that echoed the gravity of his crime. Stripped of his badge, his freedom, and his dignity, the officer was left with nothing but the weight of his actions to bear. As the judge announced the verdict, the courtroom held its collective breath. The officer was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. A stern message was sent that day. No one is above the law, not even those sworn to uphold it. When the gavel falls, the echoes of this crime story serve as a stark reminder. In the pursuit of justice, one must never become the very monster they seek to vanquish. And with that, our tale comes to an end. But remember, dear listener, justice may be blind, but it is never deaf to the cries of the innocent.